Okay, I promise that I will not speak about all voluntary approaches, otherwise we will be here till midnight. So I will focus just on instruments which are supported somehow by Ministry of the Environment. I think that you never heard about voluntary instruments or voluntary approaches in the environmental policy. So basically, they are about activities which are realized by companies or businesses beyond the legislation, but it's not only about businesses or how they can contribute to the sustainable development, but also about us, because we can use them also in our everyday life and everyday decisions. They are quite old. I think the issue or environmental issue started to rise in the 60s or the 70s of the previous century. So the first sign of voluntary approaches were corporate social responsibility, which appeared at or during 70s. But soon also it was accompanied by, let's say, behavior which are not really fair. We call it greenwash. It means that companies just pretend that they are green or that their products are green. So usually authorities established some instruments for that companies which really want to contribute and want to have a credible instrument which they will be able to use as a proof that they are really green, their products are green. So at the first stage it was eco-labeling. The first one was, not surprisingly, German's Blue Angel, which have been followed by many others, and also EU eco-label and Czech eco-label a bit later. Another instrument is an environmental management system. Please allow me to really stress that EMAS was the first one, because usually people think that European Union is always the second one, but not in this case. Another important instrument or approach which should support the previous one is a green public procurement. I will explain them a bit later. And also very important for the near future development is an environmental footprint, which was introduced in 2013. And of course, I can't forget about Sustainable Development Goals, which were introduced a bit later. So it's the most important for us as for consumers. It's the eco-label. So it's a tool where some criteria are established before any product can, let's say, be awarded, and that the product really met all criteria are guaranteed by or is guaranteed by this third party. In this case, or in our case, is as a guarantee or the highest guarantor is a Ministry of the Environment. Also, we somehow maybe try to support, than to support, is a third type label. It's an environmental product declaration. It's maybe more business-to-business approach because it works with some really specific data and technical data, and so just professionals can really enjoy it and use it in their life. In the beginning, everybody hoped that it will also be used for comparison of products, which is not really true. So that's why other instruments were established or implemented. But I will again speak about them a bit later. The second really important tool, which is somehow supported and promoted by the Ministry of the Environment, is the Environment Management System, specifically EMAS system. These systems should, or have to, but ideally should, incorporate environmental topic in the everyday life of organizations. So basically, in the ideal situation, everybody in every second of their working life should think about the environment also. So it's also about continual innovations, continuous improvement of environmental performance of organization, but also about reporting, so that everybody, not even professionals, can see or read what is happening in that particular company or organization. And maybe it can lower her or his fear about that company. I also mentioned green public procurement. It's maybe more for authorities or every public bidder, or for that authorities or that subject. And it's basically use a power of the biggest consumer, because it's not secret that states and authorities spend a lot of money, so they should be pioneers, should be leaders, and should show the way how also other consumers should behave. So it's about preference of basically green or sustainable products and services. In fact, by the chance, let's say, rather, it was set an obligation from the 1st January of the last year that all bidders should take into account social, environment, and innovative requirements, if it's possible, not if it's suitable, but if it's possible during contracts. So there was a history about some time before, because nobody really could imagine that something like that will be possible or will be introduced. But in the end, as usual, nothing happened. So there is no more green contracts. On the other hand, that authorities or that bidders which really want to buy green have really good base for that decision, and so they can really, without any fear from control authorities, buy green. Last instrument which I will introduce a little bit more are voluntary commitments. Sorry, I will come close. Sorry, I forgot about it. That's an instrument or approach for that companies which to which the other tools or instrument are a bit binding, and they want to do something more, so they are free to do it, and we are happy if they announce it, of course, if it's sustainable, in our special website, which is closely related to the Sustainable Development Goals and about the strategy of the Czech Republic in the sustainable field, let's say. And so you can investigate more at that website. And on the other hand, now we are on a crossroad, which can mean a grow or the end of a voluntary instrument or voluntary approaches. Because my pre-speakers already mentioned Green Deal, Fit for 55 package, and other strategies in the sustainability field, or and they are accompanied by a lot of legislative proposals, but they are not voluntary anymore, because, however, at least us, or we who are responsible for voluntary instruments, try to claim that, at least try to claim, we do our best, that they are effective and they somehow contribute to the sustainable development. For somebody is not enough, it's not enough, and we need to speed up a bit more, and the only solution is to set a binding requirements. So there is a lot of, as I said, a lot of legislative acts on a way, like Sustainable Product Directive, Due Diligence Directive, New Battery Directive, and many more, which basically do the same what we have do for many years in the voluntary field, and set a lot of requirements. And not only like Sustainable Product Directive, which should replace Eco-Design Directive, which are focused just on energy efficiency, but a Sustainable Product Directive will cover also circularity, so recyclation, use of recycled materials, content of chemicals, or at least hazardous chemicals, or even just potential chemicals, and so on. Repairability, and many other issues. So, on the one hand, it should bring a lot of environmental improvement, also stronger consumer protection, not only against greenwashing, but and as I said, for example, a right for reparability. But however, a European Commission announced close coherence with voluntary instruments. It will be really difficult to find a well-balanced setting between and a coherence between them. And personally, I'm afraid that many businesses, or at least a huge part of them, will just focus on mandatory requirement and will lose their interest in the voluntary approaches or a voluntary side, and that can contrary be a let's say burden for innovation or innovations. Thank you very much.